Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome you back. In this video, we are going to react to this news from NHK Japan. NHK Japan is the national broadcaster of Japan. They are something like MediaCorp here in Singapore, and apparently they talk about Singapore and our overworked workers. Our overworked workers, they are having a burnout. There's rising this burnout phase. It's something that even Japan, who are on their side of the coin, they are having their own workers being overworked. They are talking about us being overworked. So we're gonna react to this video. I'm gonna have some thoughts on it throughout the video. If you want to see the full video, you can click the link below. And I'm gonna tell you a story or two later after the video, after the reaction, and my take on this burnout phase, which everybody at some stage in their life when they work, most likely they have burnout. Okay? So let's react to this video.
The International Institute for Management Development ranks Singapore first in global competitiveness. But as the country's economy thrives, more Singaporeans are suffering from work-related burnout. NHK World's Lim Ling Feng reports.
Nice to meet you.
Isn't he... Wait, this fella very familiar. Isn't he that YouTuber, that Google ex-employee turned YouTuber who also tried Grab riding? Isn't him? Wait, could be him. Not very sure. Okay.
38-year-old Chen Xiaochun lost his job last year.
When I first lost my job, I thought my world was over.
It's him lah. Yo. Okay. Oh, they've interviewed him for this worker burnout thingy. Okay.
It's very difficult. So I couldn't sleep.
He worked for a tech giant for...
Isn't this a business class or first class seat? Goodness me. Isn't he that also talked about him having a $200,000 paycheck, annual paycheck, and he's talking about burnout? Okay.
For 8 years,
Okay.
But COVID changed his life. As the pandemic drove workers online, his workload increased significantly. And after COVID, the company started laying off employees.
Okay, the COVID thingy, even to this day now, I believe a lot of you who are still working from home, I think some of the companies have already mandated RTO, return to office thingy. That one is, quite frankly, a thing that a lot of companies are trying, because if you don't return to office, most likely you will get laid off, or you have to get out of this job. Because if you aren't aware, a lot of companies want you to go back to office because of a lot of reasons. One, they need you to fill up the office space. And two, it's from the eyes of the companies, they rather see you at work, literally see you at work, than doing work at home. And for those that, one for my wife, who is still, technically she still can work from home, her workload at home is more so than in the office. From what I gather, she hardly eats at home. I don't know about you. You can comment down below. Is your workload even more when you work from home? Comment down below.
Fearful of being fired, Chen's long working hours became routine, resulting in burnout.
You don't sleep well, you don't work well, you don't eat well. It becomes a cycle. So you become more and more unhealthy. That is normal, to work longer, to do more than you can. So I feel the pressure to do the same. And I also don't want to let the company down.
Okay. This part, it all will add on once companies cut costs. Quite frankly, they cut costs due to they need to be more better every year, so they will cut costs. If they can't expand on their productivity to earn more money, they will cut costs. So when they cut costs, it's labor. They will cut labor, and then when they cut labor, the very people that you're working with now no longer are there. You have to take their workload. That's what is happening in this day and age, folks. So extra workload on the same person is a thing. I experienced it myself back in the day. It's nothing new, technically, nothing new, but I believe now it's even worse off right now, as we tend to, the companies tend to be more mindful of hiring right now. So yeah, he makes a good point. Even though his pay is astronomical, 200,000, pay. The companies expect you to work more at that pay scale. That's the thing. If you add more pay, your workload adds more. It's as simple as that. It's simple mathematics. So from him to make noise about it, I can't fault him for that. He can have his own, thinking, his own mindset on it. But yeah, from everybody outside looking in, the pay and the workload is just there, and it keeps rising if you do want to have more pay. It's as simple as that.
Cheng's work suffered and he was later dismissed. A survey released in June shows 67% of workers.
I want to talk about dismissals. Dismissals, even though you put your heart and soul into a company. That's why I quite advocate the fact that right now, for anyone that's working, you probably should not put so much time and 感情, feeling in your work. Work is work. Your bosses want you to work. They have no feelings for you, quite frankly speaking, because they have their own position to mind for. If they own the company, they always will see their company first, not you. So I believe that even though you put a lot of feeling in your work, it will come to a full stop. You will not get back the 回报, the returns is not there. And yeah, I urge you all, just don't put any feelings in your work. Work is just work. Be prepared, be responsible for your own well-being. And yeah, even him getting so much pay, having so much workload, in the end, he got dismissed.
Felt burned out within the past 2 weeks. This expert says Singapore's competitive work culture is due to the ingrained mentality that the founding fathers worked hard to make the country successful.
Our Singapore culture, workplace culture, that places a lot of emphasis on success and achievement. So, and many companies prioritize productivity, profitable outcomes over the well-being of the worker.
This one, I kind of agree. There are people out there, especially those bosses, they will always prioritize outcomes. Of course, profits and money, so to speak, because it's ingrained since the early days of work in Singapore, and now coming 60 years, in Singapore. It's, yeah, you wonder how much can we push further. And with us being a globalized nation, globalized, country with so many countrymen, other country folks in Singapore also have their own agenda, own way of working while trying to live a better life. I don't know how much better Singapore can be as a Singaporean, so I kind of agree. We kind of need to figure this portion out. And of course, with the success of Singapore right now, if you are on that trend, rising with the trend with Singapore's, success, progress, and then you can benefit monetarily or not, good for you. And for those that fall by the wayside, I urge you to figure that portion out. If not, you may want to think of, not being in this country lah. There are folks that have gone for a greener pasture, outside of Singapore, and they are doing better. So yeah, that one, I kind of agree. It's inbuilt in us already.
In 2020, amid COVID, the number of people who committed suicide reached 452, the highest in recent years. Even after the pandemic, the issue of workers' mental health remains a social problem.
Sad to say, suicidal rates have always been quite high in Singapore, and it's been brushed over by the media more so than not, partly because Singapore doesn't want to be seen as a doom and gloom country. Never is. So every time they will brush off anything that's shown that is deemed unfit for Singapore. That one, I won't dwell into it. It is what it is. Singapore just want to show the good and they don't like to show the bad and the ugly.
To meet growing demand for mental health services, the government decided to increase the pool of mental health professionals. For Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, this issue has long been a priority.
We also need to change our mindsets about what we consider success in life. We should not be unwittingly drawn into a rat race of hyper-competition.
This company frequently
It's so weird that they shown Evergreen, the container truck there. When, as you know, Evergreen year on year always like to show off that they give a lot of bonus to their workers, which also makes things worse for the average workers in Singapore. And that does not help. To be very frank, that does not help. But again, Lawrence Wong made the point. I don't think it will help if you increase more mental health workers, professionals. I don't think it really helps. That's my own opinion. I mean, you can comment down below if you actually seek help from these people.
host sessions on mental health after many employees quit in recent years.
Resilience is not pushing yourself harder. It's actually accepting that there are challenges, but being able to bounce back.
Once a month, all employees are given fruit. They also prepare and eat lunch together once a week. After 1 year of these changes, the company says its sales have increased.
Wait, what? Worker burnout. We're talking about worker burnout, right? So they do this to help boost morale for workers. And then at the end of the day, it's all about sales. They say the sales has increased. So what about the morale of workers? Are they happier? Sales increase does not really coincide with workers burnout, right? I don't know. Can someone fill me in on this? So, like, for real, man, what's the correlation?
The important thing is to recognize that no one is a superman or superhuman. Right? There are more months and years to come. But I think if we continue to do this, putting people first, we are seeing the results for profit.
I don't know, man. I again, he's the CEO of this company. Yeah, it's always, like I mentioned earlier, it's always profit first. So whether it is detrimental to the health of or the well-being of workers, God knows. I don't see it. You can comment down below again.
Singapore's thriving economy has been built on the hard work of its people, but the rise in worker burnout has the country rethinking how to balance productivity with people's well-being. Ling Fong, NHK World, Singapore.
Let's talk about me, as per se, talking about being burned out as someone who worked in Singapore. I never really experienced burnout, but I do experience prolonged sickness, illness, flu, fever, every so often, year on year. It gets worse. That one, I can be very truthful to you guys, ladies and gentlemen, but I am not very good with stress. That one, I also know it myself. That's the reason why for context again, I'm 40 this year. I don't really have a full-time job. I do not really reporting to a company. I actually report to a few companies in my part-time work, but my part-time work is very simple, and I'm doing other side jobs, side incomes, and I stumbled upon it, to be very frank with you. I've worked corporate before. I worked at SME before, 9 to 5, some even shift work. And yeah, I've been sick more so than often. I also know it that it's not really helping the company every time I fall sick, in my managerial position and whatnot. And it is a thing. So you can consider that burnout. I don't know. You can comment down below. Then, of course, there's another story that I want to tell is there is this ex-colleague of mine who was one position higher. I worked in a corporate level before in a retail setting with this quite big retail company that is in Orchard. I oversee the department, one of the floor of the department, all the vendors that are selling at this floor. And then subsequently, this colleague who is the department manager, I was a retail manager, so I will report to a department manager. That department manager was, he was responsible for another floor. Then of course he has a retail manager of his own. Somehow he went up the position. He was a retail manager, then he went up to department manager. And then somehow, somewhere, he got a heart attack. On the spot, he had a heart attack during his job. He fell and went to the hospital. They, of course, took a few months to recuperate. All and behold, he was okay. Thank God he was okay. And then he came back. He requested to downgrade back to retail manager. He was about in his 50s, I believe. Yeah, that's the thing. It's that one I will consider as overwork. And our workload back in the day was also quite bad. Yeah, and I learned a lot, to be very frank with you. I didn't stay that long too. I was poached over to another company from that company. And that incident is ingrained in my head so much is because it's true to life. It happened right in front of us. Many people might brush it off, but it's something that with this article, this NHK video, I just want to share with you that life is not worth it if you overwork and is detrimental to your health. Your loved ones will not be thankful for it. That's for certain. You work, and there's no fruits or labor at the end of the day. It's just not worth it, in my humble opinion. So, what I'm trying to get at, worker burnout happens to the very best of us. And if you're not careful, it can just happen in an instant because your body cannot take it. Right now, I still feel the stress of doing all this. Not, don't get me wrong. And you too, with your 9 to 5, and like I mentioned way earlier, that there is this trajectory of the companies are cutting costs across the board, usually labor. So your colleagues will be ex-colleagues, and then you have to take their workload on board while your pay is not getting higher. And the companies will keep pushing it for it because you don't sound off to the company. But of course, it's not easy to sound off to the company because you will be seen like a weakling if you tell the company, I can't take this workload. They think it's okay for you to take it anyway because everybody else is taking it. And then there's this, I also read this article by Business Times who talk about work-life balance, and then they go and interview the CEOs or the bosses of the companies talking about work-life balance. And then some, so-called 专家 expert. And I laugh because, again, like I mentioned earlier, work-life balance for the workers, when it comes to the CEOs, is all about profit. So to balance that or the lack of, they will term it that they themselves are doing it and they're striving better by doing more work, more hours, and to them it's perfectly fine. They are entrepreneurs. They chose that path, they push forth, and like I mentioned earlier, it's their company. Or, they have every right for it because the risk reward is there. They risk that amount of hours, they gain so much. But for us workers who are on a fixed salary, usually, I'm not sure about profit sharing, but even if they do, it's considered peanuts compared to the CEOs, correct? So for this Love Bonito CEO that mentioned that, if you want, you need to work more, do more, and then if you want a better position, you have to strive more and then be better and everything, all that else. She's not wrong. But I feel that they're missing the point. The point of the matter is work-life balance, be it in Singapore or anywhere else, is getting eroded, that's for certain. And for oneself to put so much effort, 感情, feeling to a work that the companies want you to, and again, like I mentioned, Love Bonito actually retrenched their workers before. Not too long ago only. So where's the guarantee or the safety net for the workers who they might think it's, working for the company? And as you know, office politics, I don't do much about it. Some people are very good at it. Office politics is a thing. If you're in an office setting, you might be aware, might want to do more on that aspect. I can't. That's why I'm out from the rat race, out from the corporate life. But yeah, you best believe that work-life balance, if you want, you have to put it on yourself to do it, to have it. And one way I would urge you all is to, the well-being of yourself is to put time on certain aspects of your life to relax. I myself, time and time again, will go for runs. Go and be not distracted by the phone at all for 1 hour. Not every day, of course. I would love to, but of course with the weather right now, it's so rainy and everything. I might do something else. I do play games also, but that's also far in between because I'm doing a few side incomes. Again, you have to try and figure out a hobby or try and figure out something to do other than work. And that should help alleviate a bit of this disconnect with work, this mindset of work. And then when you don't give yourself time to relax, it's a ticking time bomb. So again, this NHK report is quite timely. I do hope that you guys and you, ladies and gentlemen, do seek help if you need to. Do figure out, some part of your life, because you have to work for your family. This too already has taken up majority of the time. You do need to figure out some time for yourself. That's a given. So anyway, that's me on this. My take on this matter, this story time of it. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Take care. I'll see you around. Bye bye.